Hafaday Guam, I'm Jason Salas. This is a special edition of Canvassing with KUAM where we talk to members of our community about their concerns as they head to the poll, what they want to see from their elected leaders, and just basically their thoughts on the state of the island. And you know, I have the great pleasure of hosting a real estate segment called House to Home each and every Tuesday. And over the 7 years that I've done this segment, I've come to know actually two wonderful local women, two realtors who have taught me a lot about that industry. Of course, Gina Campos and Liz Duenas. And during that time, we've had many, many conversations, and we've shared, many opinions, and they have certainly, a lot of which we haven't always expressed on the show because it just didn't fit the context of the show. But seeing how it is an election and seeing how they are not only professional realtors, but leaders in their industry. They're also mothers and grandmothers, and they're just Guamanians, and they have certain expectations, and deservedly so, from their elected leaders. So joining me now on the KUAM couch for this very special episode are Gina and Liz. Hafaday, ladies.
Hafaday.
I want to say this is the first time we've actually shared this studio space in 3 years. So it's so very good to see you guys.
Zoom, and today it's nice to be here at KUAM.
I know, I was just about habitually just to ask you, Gina, your mic's muted, but no, you're here right now.
I'm here.
We're
can't mute me now.
Exactly. Well, and hopefully we won't need to, because that's, I wanted to have the two of you here because, obviously the economy is very, very important to you. Family values are important to you. The direction our island may or may not be headed is important to you. So Gina, let's start with you. Seeing how this is election day right now, what components of not only who is running, but the platforms on which they stand, really stick out to you?
In terms of platform, I see there's a few candidates that I've been watching their interviews. I want to thank KUAM because that's where I've been going to be able to look at the interviews and to see what these candidates are all about. You don't get enough from that, right? But in terms of platform, the thing that concerns me, and I use that word concern, is when the potential senators are saying that what they're looking for or what their goal is going to be is to preserve our environment. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to preserve the environment. Like, I'm all for that. I'm about picking up the trash, making sure that things are done in a proper way so that we do preserve the environment, protecting the aquifer. I'm all for that. But what I'm looking for in a candidate is the person that remembers that the preservation of the environment is for the people. And sometimes I believe we forget that. And that concerns me when someone puts the environment ahead of private property rights. And so I'm going to be really looking for the senators that have a balanced view on that, or the candidates that have a balanced view on that. Because I still believe that God didn't create Sunday for man, that Sunday, that it's the other way around, right? And so I believe that preserving...
And on the seventh day he did rest, as we know from the good book, but we should not only enjoy what nature and what a higher power has given us, but also make sure we take care of it too.
I remember that in the Bible it says that man was not created for Sunday. It was Sunday that was created for man. And I believe that all of these issues about the environment, it's so that the people have the benefit. But when you start taking their rights away from them to preserve the environment, I don't think that's a good thing, not in my book. I want a more balanced view of this, and I'm looking for candidates that have a balanced view that understand that.
Oh, fair enough. Well, thank you for your thoughts on Mother Superior. We'll come back to you in a little bit. But Liz, I'd like to ask you, like I was saying, right? And you've shared this many times on our show publicly, is your concerns with who's running and how not only are they going to fix the issues that are ongoing and that continue to linger our community right now, but what plans they want to put into place going forward. It's not just for your quality of life, but also for that of your children and your grandchildren.
That's correct. And Gina and I have been pretty vocal. And I too have been looking at the candidate interviews, trying to see who has something to offer our community and what are they going to do when they get into office. One of the things is we don't want a career politician. We want a politician that goes in there with a mindset to make a difference with the community. Because right now we're seeing issues that keep cropping up that need to be addressed. Luckily, we're pretty vocal and active, that we've been meeting with the senators when we see something that comes up to help correct it, to amend certain laws to make a difference. So there are different issues that are in place right now that we have been addressing and meeting with the different senators that are in place. So for the new ones that go in, please don't go in to create new laws. Go in and look at what the current problems are, and let's work together to correct it. And when you're going to create a law, get the experts in the field to participate, to come to the table and work with you to create a bill that will be the solution and not the problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's knee-jerk reaction. Oh, there's a problem, let's fix it by doing this. But then you didn't take the experts into play to review it and get their feedback. You know, when you build a house, you have a home, and after 20 years, it starts to leak, or the sewer runs out. What do? There's maintenance that's required, right? So Guam have antiquated laws that need to be maintained and fixed. So I think if you're new or if you're a senator already coming back in, we need to start looking. Let's maintain our house. Let's fix the plumbing. Let's fix the leaks. Let's not just let it sit and try to Band-Aid effect by taping stuff over it, because over time it'll fall apart. So we're encouraging the community, speak up, pay attention, vote people in that will make that difference.
I should emphasize the fact, ladies and gentlemen watching, is that both Liz and Gina take very, very active, consistent parts in public hearings, in dialoguing, reaching out directly to the senators, and not calling them out, but like basically saying, I'd like to hold you accountable in a respectful and professional way, because I don't want to burn bridges, but I do want to say you're in a position to make change, hopefully immediately and everything like that. And why drag this kind of thing out over 6 months and everything like that? Could we work together and get this thing done?
We just had a meeting today, the Guam Association of Realtors, and the Lieutenant Governor came online, and he talked about issues that he's addressing within the government, which is great. So there's a collaborative effort when we bring up issues, that the ones that we've been working with are looking to solve the problems and come up with solutions. It's never ending. We're still at the table, and we are still continuing to have that dialogue so that the problems are corrected.
Yeah.
Now, Gina, is there anything to you that impresses upon you as far as the background of like a candidate? Like, have they not just worked in the private sector or held managerial positions, but have they started their own business? Have they had military service? Have they
no
level of education?
I really am. I mean, I've often wished that everybody who runs for office should have been in the private sector, because most of us are in the private sector. Most of the people you represent are in the private sector. I'm looking for people who have that private sector background, because I believe they know what we're going through. And if you've owned a business, then you absolutely know what we're going through, how hard it is out here to keep your business going, to take care of your employees. A lot of these businesses that have survived this COVID lockdown and everything that has gone along with COVID, they understand what it takes, the sacrifices you really have to make in order to stay open, continue to be open, and even now adjusting to what's to come. I'm looking for candidates that understand that housing for the local community, there's always so much talk about the military community, and I can really appreciate that. We have an obligation to take care of our military families. They're serving, and so we have an obligation to take care of them. But at the same time, our community needs whoever gets elected into office, we need them to also understand that our local families have chosen to stay on Guam, because it's a hard decision when you think about your alternatives to say, I'm going to stay here and try to make a difference. they also need help. And I think they actually need a little bit more help, because right now in our business, in real estate, we see that rents are becoming unaffordable to our local working class community. It is becoming unaffordable for our local working class community to buy homes. And I believe it's gotten to the point where the government needs to step in and say, okay, you know what? We're going to have to contribute somehow to the investors that come to Guam. And when I say contribute, I don't mean monetary contribution. I mean, like, maybe if we looked at investors a little differently, if people come here and they're looking to build housing, why can't we facilitate the process so it's easier for them? Why does it have to be a 1 or 2 year process for a residential developer to get a building permit and get all the approvals to start a project? You know, why can't the contribution from the government be, okay, if the developer is looking at putting X number of homes into this community, perhaps we can do a private public joint venture by doing X. I'm looking for senators to think along those lines, for senators who could think beyond the box, you know, outside of the box, and figure out, okay, we can see that these things are happening in the states. Let's look to the states.
But you also want them to have that private sector bottom line mentality where, you know, like we're going to think cost consciously.
Yeah, because.
But also results oriented.
Absolutely. Don't we all want that?
We would hope.
Isn't that what we're hoping for? Yeah. You know, when you go into a business, don't you want service? And, you know, don't you want that service to deliver on the product they say? And that's another thing. I want the senators that I vote for to tell me exactly what they're going to do. I don't want lofty ideas. I want commitments. Actual, this is what I'm going to do to fix this problem. You know, we can all come up with dreams, right? But that doesn't translate into reality all the time. So I want people who could give me concrete solutions and say, okay, I commit, I'm going to work on this. And you know what? Give yourself 2 years only. And after 2 years, get out of the way and go do something else. Go back to your private sector job, because I believe this is, you know, to be a senator, you're in the service industry, and you shouldn't have, you know, I think it's like, get in there, serve, and get out, and go back to your regular job and see what you could do.
That's an interesting approach, because Liz, I know you remember this, because it was exactly 20 years ago when former Governor Carl Gutierrez had said we have to run GovGuam like a business. And he said specifically that. Interestingly enough, now he's in charge of GVB, and his title is President and CEO. So, you know, he has worn that hat, and he takes that approach to running things.
Well, I remember we've been soliciting from business owners saying, hey, run for office. You need to get a group of people who are business minded to run together, get into office, get the job done in 2 years, and then get the heck out. And let another cycle of business owners to go in and help. Because Gina's right, it has to be run like a business. If you don't show up to work, or you didn't provide a product, and you're in the private sector, what happens? You're out.
I'm not hitting my numbers here at KUAM and everything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in the government sector, it's run a little differently, but, you know, again, if you go in there, it's all about correcting what's the current situation. What do we need to do to make that difference? But yes, the senators that go in, make that difference, and then if you do a good job, maybe you'll be there again another 2 year term to continue the work you're doing. But if you didn't, and you know what? The people aren't stupid. The people of Guam are smart. They're watching, and we've seen the cycles that go in and out, and some senators who didn't make it back because the people remember. So right now, I think the people of Guam are more savvy, and they're paying attention. If you said something and you didn't perform or didn't deliver, they'll remember that the next time around.
Liz, you said something that I thought was interesting, is you said you don't want, and I'm sure both of you would agree, that you're not looking for career politicians, right? People that just want to, you know,
make that difference.
There. Yeah, but there is something to be said, I'm sure, for having experience as a policymaker, right? What is the optimum mix of having veteran, you know, senators who know how to, you know, for lack of a better term, who know how to play the game and, you know how the procedure works, but then also fresh minds, fresh perspectives, fresh energy, fresh blood?
It's like you're on the board. And when you're on the board, there are senior individuals that are on the board, and then a new cycle of new individuals in any nonprofit organization. And the ones that have been in business for a while or been on the board for a while know the ropes. And usually what happens, they take the newer ones under their wing and they train them. So I think for the legislature, we're seeing sometimes there's not the spirit of cooperation, and it either the party lines are divided, issues become divided, but we're one island, one people, and the personal issue should be set aside, I think. And what is the greater good for our community to make the difference, to correct the problem versus, well, you didn't vote for my bill the last time, therefore I'm not going to vote for your bill. So there's got to be, and we see that across the nation, there's division. So I think we're too small to play that game. I think it behooves you, if you come in, work together, and what is the greater good? If the greater good is serving the people, then put your personal issues aside.
I'd like to ask both of you a question I often ask of veteran senators, right? Let's start with you, Gina. Is there any difference on Guam between a Democrat and a Republican?
Is there any difference? Well, policy-wise, I think there's some really big differences. The abortion issue is one that I think is really big right now. That's a complete divide, right?
Okay. Human rights.
Yeah. Well, not even human rights. I mean, I think the abortion issue is, I guess you can say it's human rights. It's the right of an individual that hasn't been born yet, and that's a really big divide right now, isn't it?
Sure.
It really has completely, it's split right down the middle, Democrats and Republicans. And I can't say that all Republicans are against abortion, and I can't say all Democrats are for abortion,
Sure.
but I think that's a definite divide. But, Liz mentioned earlier about, and maybe we're naive about how things work at the legislature, but we do get responses because we do try to reach out a lot. When we see a problem, we don't think that problem is not our problem. We do feel like if there's something we can contribute, we're going to reach in and say, hey, senators, whomever. I have never been of the mindset that, okay, I'm only going to reach out to Democrats or Republicans. I just figure I'm reaching out to anybody who's going to be willing to listen so that we can try. We want to feel like we're contributing to the solution. So when we notice problems, we do reach in there and say, hey, is there anyone who's willing to listen? So, here's what's going on. Here's what we're seeing. What can we do to help?
Which again is a very classical private sector approach.
Yes.
The right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
Not just because
Yeah.
like this person happens to align with my particular party, or this is Pari, this is Mully, this is Primo, this is Primo, whatever.
Yeah, and sometimes what we get back from individuals from the senators is, well, I'm not going to be able to assist you because this is under so-and-so's committee or blah, blah, blah. I don't understand that. If somebody has a problem and they reach out to Liz and say, hey, Liz, we've got a problem in your office, and it isn't in her department, nor is it in my department, we still say, okay, you know what? I don't normally handle this, but I'm going to what can I do to help? Let's figure it out. And if it means that I go over and talk to Liz and say, hey, Liz, I know this is in your department, but hey, this was brought up. What can we do to fix it? We're going to come up with solutions together. And that's where I'm saying, maybe I'm naive about how this works, but I think it shouldn't be that way.
It should be a collaborative effort. And I think that's why we're here. We want to get the message out, collaborate, work together, come up with solutions. And when I vote, I don't vote one line, I vote both lines. And I look for the person that will better serve our community. So that's our approach. We don't, just because it's a certain party, we don't go down that line. We take in both parties, their capabilities, their strengths. What are they going to do to help serve the community? So when we look at that approach, when we contact the senators, that's the same approach. It doesn't matter what party you're in. And it should, again, emphasis, collaborative effort between both sides of the fence, because when I vote, when Gina votes, we don't vote one party line. And so we don't sit on our throne that, oh, I only handle residential. Go to Gina, she handles ABCD, and I don't. It's like, hey, we're jack of all trades. It's a small island, and our people are counting. I'm counting on you, the senators, to make that difference.
That's the thing I want to say. When a customer comes to our office, our mindset is, if they need help, it doesn't matter who they ask for. If that person's not there, we're all going to step in and help, right? I believe that if I were running for senator, I would think that once I'm voted, I am not just representing what the platform that I got voted for, not just my ideas, not just if I ran as a Democrat or a Republican, I am not just representing that, Democrats or Republicans. Once I'm voted, I've been voted to serve the people, period. End of story. You got voted in. I believe that that should be part of the hat you wear. You're there to serve the people. And please don't be too busy to answer their phone calls or, because I'm getting that from, there's an issue going on right now. And a lot of people have been reaching out to us because we've been really vocal about it. So they're calling and they say, we've been trying to reach this person, that, different senators.
You're not just posturing for our show. I know you you talk about this stuff constantly with anyone, you interact with.
Yeah, I do. And they
Which
call
shows that
us
you
and-
care about this stuff. I mean, it's
yeah,
not just for show.
absolutely. And I don't, it doesn't matter to me what side of the ticket you're on. What matters is, can I actually make a difference? And I want to vote for senators that feel that way. I'm here to serve. I'm here. Once I get elected, I'm serving all of the people all of the time. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. And I am not too busy to answer phone calls or entertain people who walk in. Trust me, I know how it feels when somebody walks in and you didn't have an appointment and you have to drop everything to take care of that person. I get it, but that's why we're in the business.
Okay,
right?
ladies, here is the very obvious question. When are the two of you going to run for public office? I'm sure it's crossed your mind, or I'm sure people have tried to put that.
People have asked us.
Vote for Liz and Gina, Jason Salas Treasurer.
No, people have asked us to run because of our, because we're being very vocal, but we're not in it.
That's not what
That's
this is
not what our
about.
goal is. Our goal is help the community. I always ask the Lord, hey, make me an instrument of your peace. Let's help people. And if I'm on the wrong stretch, correct me. But basically, we're here to serve in any capacity. We serve on different committees, on nonprofit organizations. It's no different. Our business is not that it's not nonprofit, it's for profit, but on top of it, it's service to the community, period.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad Liz mentioned that, because that's one of my criteria is I'm looking for senators and anyone who's running that still prays,
Yes.
still goes
You
to
sure?
church.
I can kind of see 2026. Like it.
No, that's not for us.
That's not for us.
We're better serving on the
Where
outside.
we are, yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, we will help. If you, as a new senator, come in, please call us. We'll provide our expertise as we tell our community. If you need information, we're not charging anyone anything, whether it makes us business or not. We're there to provide the information and provide the service, period.
Okay.
Jason, real estate, let me explain something. And this is why we're willing to put in our time and invest our time. In real estate, when something comes across my desk and I don't understand it completely, or I'm not well versed in that subject, I'll call around. Okay, who's an expert in this field, because I need help. I need to be able to talk to somebody who could give me some expertise and help me to figure out this problem. We're not expecting our senators or people in Congress or our governor or lieutenant governor, we are not expecting experts in every single thing that comes across their desk. It's not possible. We expect that they would understand and know that when something comes across your desk, reach out. Reach out to your community. You'll be shocked at the number of people that be willing to help. Like us, we're willing to help. As long as it's something we know about, we're willing
if
to
it's
help.
our line of expertise, not a problem.
And
we're there.
We're hoping to get people in office that feel the same way, that know their limits, that will enforce the law first, because we got to start with that. There's a lot of stuff that's not being enforced, and it's a nightmare out there.
Okay, before we go, because this is getting fascinating, but I want to ask you, of the new candidates, and I appreciate how you said you've gone through like our YouTube playlist and you've watched like my interviews with the candidates. Is there anybody of the newbies, the first timers, the rookies, if you will, that really impressed upon you as, I can see that person with a seat downtown as one of the 15 at the legislature, and I can see him or her being very effective?
There's a few of them
Okay,
that
I
we
need some names.
Well, that's we're going to be voting on
Candidate
our own.
A, B, and C
C.
are really good.
Fair enough.
No, but
think.
there are good
Yeah.
candidates there.
Of the new crop,
Of
there
the
are
new
some that
crop.
you
The
would
new
consider.
crop.
Okay.
The only
Yes.
thing Gina and I, when we talked about it, we said, yes, they have generalities, but we need specifics. If you're going to say, well, we're here to serve the community, yeah, what is the specific item you want to address? Where are the inefficiencies, deficiencies that may need to be reviewed and corrected when you come in?
I'm just picking one like at random because I know from my interviews, first-time candidate Bistra Mendiola, right? Very, very well educated, a lot of experience in the world of business. I believe she's been in retail for a long time, and she said she wants to actually move Guam and diversify our economy from being almost completely solely reliant on tourism to more of a service-oriented industry. So things like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we listened to her.
We listened to
interview,
her,
didn't we? Mhm.
and of course she had some specifics. Okay, the proof is in the pudding. Now these new senators that are hoping to come in, so their first year will be the judge. Let's see
Right.
what they all put into play. And again, hopefully they reach out to the experts in particular fields that they may not be versed in.
And again, maybe not, did they not promise you the world or say like, everybody let's follow the yellow brick road, but can we actually take the Guam sidewalk and first water blast all the algae off it first and everything and start clean? Because that's a doable, practical, reasonable goal.
Start with the little things, right? Work
Anybody
your
can
way
promise
up.
you the world, but can you
That's
actually
right,
get stuff
but
done?
you can't deliver when your
Yeah.
aim is to promise
Yeah.
the world.
Just don't do new laws just to put your name on it. Start to review the laws that are currently in place. Look at the enforcement of some of these laws. Look at correcting, amending, whatever, or to fix the current ones. It's like, again, your house, it's leaking. Do something.
I was gonna say-
Plumbing isn't working. Do something.
As two top flight realtors on Guam, I know that both of you know something about a clean walkway, so and having that
Yep,
presentation.
a
so-
clean house.
Okay, so final thoughts from each of you, please.
It was disappointing to see we only have 57,000 people that are going to be voting. That was disappointing. But
Just a little more than a third of the island.
Yeah. And I don't know what caused that with everything that's been going on. I don't know why it's so low. But for the 57,000 people that are out there, spend a little bit of time reviewing those candidates if you still have time, but vote. Get out there and vote.
All right.
Make your voices heard.
Yeah.
Make your voices heard. Educate yourself on the issues that are currently in place. Listen to their platforms. See what they can do. Also, look at the performance of the current senators. Who voted for what? Who didn't vote? What is their attendance record? And that would speak for itself.
All right. Can't go wrong with data. All right. So Gina Campos and Liz Duenas. This is basically every conversation, like I said, we've had before we hit record in Zoom and everything, minus like the cookie recipes and all like the awesomeness and everything. But ladies, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Jason.
you.
All right. And good to see you guys in person go team house to home.
Go.
All right. We'll continue with our program in just a moment.